This is the first stop of 7 rounds on the calendar, and it all kicks off right now. Welcome to 2020.
I'm feeling good heading into 2020. As far as consistency and continuity goes, everything's the same.
We've got so many variables this year, so it's just about getting our head down and making the bike as good as possible.
Competition is so strong, even stronger than last year. It's going to be a real hard fight all the way to the end.
ACBK 2020 is going to be good for me.
Now as we get ready to go racing for race 1, 2020 My Bike Insurance Australian Superbike Championship, and they're off the line. He's taken the lead, Herfoss, and he's got the run as they head up towards top of the hayset. It is Maxwell that takes the win. Halliday in second. Josh Waters will hang on for third. Congratulations to our top 3, but there's plenty more to come in 2020. This is only the start, ladies and gentlemen.
The World Health Organization just announced coronavirus is now a pandemic. Borders are closed. All Australian sporting events have been cancelled. The entire country is in lockdown.
It's been a long time between races.
We've missed you, race fans.
We are back on track.
The My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship presented by Motul.
Let's get it.
After a year like no other, it comes down to winner takes all. This is it. There is no tomorrow, just one day, 2 races. It's all on the line. It's our grand finale and round 3 of the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship presented by Motul. Welcome again to Wakefield Park Raceway. Eminota Francesco and Steve Martin with you. Quite windy conditions today. And looking back at yesterday, Steve, it was quite clear that there's a bit of a battle going on between our favourite rivals, Wayne Maxwell and Troy Herfoss.
It was unbelievable, the games that those two were playing out on track. I couldn't believe it. I mean, Herfoss took the lead and then he had to slow the pack down because, let's face it, if he wins, that's not enough to win the championship. He has to beat Wayne Maxwell and have some people between him. So there's going to be plenty of games on track today. I don't know what's going to happen. All I can guarantee is it's going to be crazy.
Cannot wait to see how it all pans out. So let's look at the championship points then coming into the first race of round 3. It is Wayne Maxwell leading, but only by 17 points. Troy Herfoss came into the weekend really in 5th position. The championship has moved all the way up to 2nd. Crew Halliday in 3rd. Josh Waters in 4th and Brian Starring in 5th. So Crew, in 3rd. There are still really 3 main contenders. Let's hear from our top 3.
Unfortunately, this weekend's not going to be about playing it safe for me. Similar to last year, it's really anyone's championship, but I have a big gap to close down, so I have to be super aggressive and take maximum risk, unfortunately.
We've always seen Wayne and Troy sort of clash heads here. Now I'm in the middle of it, so sort of got to put my big boy pants on and step up and try to battle with them.
Having a DNF hasn't really entered our thought process. We go out there and think positive, but if we had a DNF, it would definitely put us up against it. It means we'd have to basically win all the other races to try to put us in a good position.
It's hard, I've been off the bike for so long. I was more nervous on Thursday practice session than I have been before a race.
I came fairly prepared. I knew it was going to be a massive challenge this weekend, so I was under no illusion that I could just ride around. So hopefully we've done enough prep and come Sunday afternoon we're in a good spot.
Now I've still got to put my elbows out and it's going to be aggressive. Absolutely, I can be the 2020 champion.
I definitely think I can win the championship. I need a little bit of luck, but I want to do everything I can this weekend and try and hopefully dominate the weekend at Wakefield, but it's going to be tough.
Well, I'll be the champion for 2020. I think definitely I will. I've come here with that thought process. I've put enough work in, and that's the plan. There's no other option for me, so that's what we're rolling with.
There you have it. Always goes down to the wire for the Kawasaki Superbike class. It is on the final showdown. Now, they went qualifying this morning, and of course, it was another exciting session. Pretty much a carbon copy of yesterday. It's Troy Herfoss who took pole position yet again. Another point when you get pole position. Wayne Maxwell in 2nd, Glenn Allerton in 3rd. This is the way it's going to line up for today. Crew Halliday in 4th position. Mike Jones in 5th. Brian Starrick completes the 2nd row. Aidan Wagner in 7th. Josh Waters certainly a lot further back than we expected. Arthur Cece's in 9th and Jed Metcher rounds out the top 10. As I said, 2 races. This is round 3. It is the final showdown, the grand finale. They've got it all on the line. Who will be the 2020 champion? Cannot wait to find out. But in the meantime, it is a very good afternoon and hello to Phil Harlem.
Thanks, Emma. We are ready to go racing for the Kawasaki Superbike class. First race of round 3, the final round of the championship. 17 laps of mayhem to follow. Herfoss starting from pole position. And they're away. Superbikes are go, Steve, as they get a good jump off the line. Looked like a pretty good start for Wayne Maxwell. He'll slot into second place, but Troy Herfoss leads them through turn 1. Can we see the whole field get through safely through turn 2, the Motul corner, and start the run up the hill? They are. They're on their way up the hill to AMMF corner, and it is Troy Herfoss that leads from Wayne Maxwell, Allerton, Mike Jones. Brian Starring's got a cracking start. Look out what he could do. We always know he's dangerous when he gets a good start.
Absolutely, he works his way forward. I saw Lachlan Epperson there is Arthur Ceces as well. Aidan Wagner is just behind him. Glenn Scott in the top 10 at the moment. But look at that slight lead that Troy Herfoss on the Penrite Honda has pulled out already. That new Fireblade seems to be the goods.
And he is on fire on the Fireblade as well, but it's so impressive, but no surprise to see them have a brand new bike which is up to speed so very, very quickly. As they come down into the final corner, the big move from Aidan Wagner trying to go up the inside of Arthur Ceces. Couldn't quite get it done. Arthur was too late on the brakes as they come round to complete the first lap. It is Herfoss. He's got the head down. He's got the ears pinned back, and he is doing everything he can to build up a big lead and maybe force Wayne Maxwell to chase him hard.
I'll tell you what, Glenn Allen is right on the back of the moment of Wayne Maxwell, and that lead is just swelling out a little bit. Troy Herfoss is running away with it, but Maxwell has got plenty of company.
Well, Troy Herfoss has done a 101.878 from a standing start on that first lap. Maxwell a 102.7. Everybody else is in the 102s in that second, third and fourth position. And Herfoss, clearly the fastest man on track. He's opened up a lead of 0.914 of a second as they come round through intermediate number 1 on this second lap.
Well, this is the most competitive Mike Jones has been so far this weekend. I mean, he is on the pace and on the back of the pack. We haven't seen that yet this weekend.
Well, we questioned whether the big external wings on the Ducati were providing any assistance. Don't know if they are, but Mike Jones is riding the best he has all weekend as he glued to the back of Glenn Allerton. Brian Starring and Crew Halliday are there as well. We've got a 5-bike battle for second place now in this race as Herfoss leads by 0.894 of a second, a 58.135 on the first flying lap.
Yeah, Brian Starring just in there. He can see the podium, he can see the race lead, and when he's in this position, we know that after a few laps, when he gets his mojo on, he can usually make his way forward through the pack. Crew Halliday, he's not where he wants to be. He didn't get a good start, but once again, he knows how to win around this circuit.
We've seen several times this weekend how far Troy Herfoss was prepared to push in qualifying. Remember, he was off the track at the final corner trying to push to get that extra point. The lap that he did to take pole position for round 2 was absolutely right on the edge, if not possibly a little bit over it, and he is on the edge and pushing over it. Brian Starring goes up the inside of Crew Halliday, can't quite get the BC Performance Kawasaki ZX10RR stopped and turned, has to tuck back in behind Crew Halliday's Yamaha YZF R1M as they make their way down the straight to complete the third lap of this 17-lap journey.
And looks like Maxwell's just pulled a bike length out now, and it's starting to close down Troy Herfoss out front. I wonder what Herfoss's plan will be. If it finishes like this, it's not good enough for Herfoss to win the championship. Is he just going to go for the race win, or do you think he's going to try and slow the field down? He tried that the other day, but it didn't work for him. Perhaps he's going to try even harder here.
Well, if they were to stay in the same positions as they are, and that's not completely out of the question with Wayne Maxwell in second place and Troy Herfoss in first, the championship gap would come down to 11 points for the final race. Troy Herfoss simply needs it to be more than that. So as he comes down into the final corner now, there looks to be a little bit of a gap appearing between the leading group of riders. Maxwell has got a couple of tenths of a second over Glenn Allerton, who in turn has a couple of tenths of a second over Mike Jones. Crew Halliday has just dropped off the back a fraction. but we're only 4 laps into this 17-lap race, and going with them is Brian Starring. Then there is a big gap back to Josh Waters in 7th place, Aidan Wagner in 8th, Arthur CC's in 9th, and Lachlan Epps rounds out the top 10.
Talk about consistency. Troy Herfoss out the front. He's just done 57.6, 57.6. He's like 0.2 of a lap quicker than everybody else out there on track at the moment. So consistent.
The top 5 are all in the 57s, but the fastest lap of the race on us so far in this race goes to Wayne Maxwell with a 57.663, setting a couple of laps ago. So Maxwell has got the pace, and that's why he's appearing to just pull slightly away from Glenn Allison, who's finding a bit of wheel stand there from the Maxima BMW. You can see how much power that's got. And for the first time in a long time, he looks like he's confident to apply it to the tarmac, and the bike looks like it's hooking up and driving well.
Yeah, it does, but that was a bit of a moment for him, and that takes a lot of energy to control the bike when it's in that situation. So if he has to keep on riding like that, he's going to start drifting back, I reckon. You can just see how much he's already starting to move around there. That's probably not going to bode well later in the race, because the more the bike moves around, the less grip you have. Mike Jones is looking smoother at the moment.
You can see as they were making their way up the AWMF hill how early and hard everyone was on the gas, with the back ends just struggling for grip. You mentioned before, Steve, completely different track temperatures to what we've had all weekend, with the wind keeping the track temperature a lot cooler. There would have been adjustments in tyre compounds and pressures to make allowances for those.
No, absolutely. Crew Halliday as well has settled himself down now, and he's on the pace.
Looks to be physically manhandling the Yamaha as he closes in on the back of the reigning Australian champion Mike Jones on board the Desmo Sport Ducati Panigale V4R. Let's have a look at Crew's lap time on that last lap, the 57.8, and Mike Jones with the 57.9. So Crew just inching back closer to the back of Mike Jones's machine. 57.7 for Troy Herfoss, 58.0 for Wayne Maxwell. But Glenn Allerton, Mike Jones, and Crew Halliday all in the 57s as well.
Yeah, so Maxwell not really losing that bunch of guys behind him. So he's, I wouldn't say he's in trouble, but he's definitely got to be a little bit careful here. He's got to try and keep it smooth, try and pull that gap. But these guys behind, if you look at it this way, out of those 3 guys behind, only one of them is going to finish on the podium. So you don't want to finish 4th or 5th out of this bunch, do you? So there'll be some shenanigans going on later in the race.
Just keep an eye on Brian Starring's pace, because his fastest lap of the race is only 2/1000ths of a second faster than the pace he did on the last lap. So his pace is not dropping off. What is happening is that group ahead of him, with Wayne Maxwell, Glenn Allerton, Mike Jones and Crew Halliday, are just getting faster and faster as this race goes on. All of them consistently in the 57s on that last lap as well. All within a couple of hundredths of a second in lap time on that last lap.
Geez, I'll tell you what, Maxwell then just got on the gas nice and early, pulled out a big gap on acceleration on Glenn Allerton, really put the hammer down there. So he's definitely got the grip, but once again, Allerton closes that gap down.
Yeah, looked like the Maxima BMW was very good on the brakes at the bottom of the fish look there, and just closed in a bike length or two on the back of Wayne Maxwell's Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech Panigale V4R, the bike prepared in Sydney by Craig McMartin, a man that's no stranger to winning championships himself. As they make their way out of the final corner now. Look at Allison, look at the drive he's getting on the BMW. Look how close he is down behind the fairing, and Mike Jones as well. If he was any further down, he'd be underneath the paintwork on board the Desmo Sport Ducati.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be liking being in 4th position. Mike wants to at least get a podium if he can. Bit of movement there from the back of his bike.
You can see Crew Halliday was on the gas hard and early, and once again, as we mentioned before, manhandling the Yamaha YZF-R1M. And up the top of the hill here, that would be very tricky to try and get around, especially with this wind. Everyone maintaining very nice lines at the top of the circuit. Unlike some of the other classes that we've seen, Steve, they're not going wide out onto the blue and white painted area. They're keeping it nice and tidy on track. This is a corner, though, as you mentioned in your track preview, where there are a lot of different corners, depending on what you're trying to set up for that next corner, the Pirelli corner, where we've already seen plenty of action today.
Yeah, you don't want to get messy on a superbike on this track. Like, you need to keep it neat. You keep it neat, you can get a good lap time. Get messy and you get yourself in trouble. So that's what this is all about. It's about trying to keep things smooth but at the same time, be aggressive.
Troy Herfoss's last lap as he came across was only thousandths of a second different to the lap before. Maxwell Allerton back into the 58 zeros. Mike Jones and Crew Halliday still in the 57s. And Brian Starring has dropped back to a 58.614. In fact, Aidan Wagner was fractionally faster than Brian Starring, who is one place ahead of him on the road on that last lap. But it is still Troy Herfoss that has a 1.6 second lead over Wayne Maxwell on the road with 9 laps down of the 17-lap journey. As they said, it's a long race round here, 17 laps on a superbike in these considerably blusty conditions.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen this race play out yet. I mean, everybody's on different tyre manufacturers as well in this group. We've got 4 different players in the group. Perhaps, you know, some people have got soft tyres on out front. Perhaps Herfoss has gone for a softer tyre to get a bit of a break, which has worked. Well, that'll all play out. But he may come back to the pack yet.
And we know that different tyres work on different bikes differently as well. Because
absolutely.
The same tyre that works well on the Panigale V4R for Mike Jones and Wayne Maxwell just doesn't seem to work on Glenn Allerton's BMW. And the Michelin, well, there's only one bike on Michelin's out there, so we haven't really got anything to gauge other bikes and how that tyre works on. But I have to say, so far, over the 2 races here this weekend, the Michelin has looked to be very, very competitive. And the package that Penrite Honda has put together is very impressive as well.
Absolutely. They've done some testing and had some races up at Morgan Park, but I think they'd be pretty happy with the outcome of the first Kawasaki Australian Superbike race meeting that they've had, round 2 and round 3, with that new bike.
So through the final corner we go. That's the Yamaha Revshaart corner. Out onto the straight, they will come round to complete 11 laps. It is still Herfoss with about a 1.5 second lead over the rest of the field. 1.599 seconds to be precise. Another 57.9 for Troy Herfoss. That has been, I'd like to have a look at his lap times consistency at the end of this race, because there's been literally nothing between the last few laps.
I was looking at his lap time when he went over. His previous lap was 57.967. That last lap was 57.967. Everybody else has changed a 10th or a 100th, but his not. That's pretty consistent.
58.0 once again for Maxwell, 58.1 for Allerton, and a 58.0 for Mike Jones. They're still pretty tightly packed, this group, but they're so tightly packed that there doesn't seem to be anything different in the lap time, which is not allowing anyone to make some moves to try and move forward. Well, as we saw, that's exactly what Wayne Maxwell wants. He wants to make sure that no one can get close enough to try and overtake the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech V4R.
Yeah, Maxwell's plan is to just not make a mistake, and it looks like he's doing that. He's just keeping everything under control. He's got the drive out of the corners as well, which means it's difficult to get him in the braking areas. He's got the bike set up well for the braking and entering. But this man out front, Troy Herfoss, it looks like he's doing it easy, but I tell you what, it's not easy to lead a race like this here.
If you think he's doing it easy, you have a look how hard he is working on that bike and how hard that bike, the suspension and everything is working. He is literally tying that thing in knots to try and make as much of it gap. He's run wide. Herfoss has run wide. He's got it wrong at the bottom of the corner.
He's got an issue.
He's got a problem.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, he's out. Herfoss is out of the race as the Penrite Honda cruises onto the infield. We were just saying about how hard he was riding it. Unfortunately, it has stopped.
Broken-hearted.
What the problem is, but Herfoss is out of the equation, and Maxwell now leads the race. You know what this has done? This has fired up Glenn Allerton and Mad Mike Jones, because they know that their chance to win this race has just gone up a notch.
And the other thing that this has done is given the championship to Wayne Maxwell.
If he takes the race win and scores 25 points more than Herfoss, that's exactly what's happened. So Herfoss is now making or hoping that Glenn Allerton and Mike Jones can make sure that Wayne Maxwell does not take maximum points.
Well, it's on now, isn't it? They're not fighting for second place now. That victory for those two boys in second and third of the race at the moment are on for the win. What will Allerton do?
And it's moved Crew Halliday back up into second place in the championship, as well as Crew Halliday sitting back there in fourth place. So We said that this was going to be a very decisive race in the championship, and that is exactly how it's turned out, but not the way that Troy Herfoss, the local hero, was hoping.
You can never count your chickens before they're hatched in Superbike racing.
Anything can happen in anything involved with a motor, and that's exactly what's happened here at Wakefield Park. So Maxwell leads. He's got a 0.2 of a second lead over Glenn Allerton on board the Maxima BMW, and the Desmo Sport Ducati of Mad Mike Jones is not too far behind. Mike Jones would love to take a race victory on that number 1 plated machine. As we can see there, it was the bottom of the fishhook. Something went wrong. I thought Herfoss had just got in there a little bit deep and run wide, but you can see his hand on his head there. He knows that his race is over. There's some sort of technical problem with the brand new Honda CBR 1000 RR, and unfortunately for Troy Herfoss, his race is done.
How much do you reckon that Glenn Allerton wants to at least get second? He's had a couple of thirds. He really wants to get a second.
Right, let's go down to the pits. Emma is with a very excited and also very tense Craig McMartin.
Yeah, and I was actually standing with Craig as that all unfolded, and obviously really bad luck for Troy, but good news for you because it looks like you've got this all wrapped up now.
Yeah, I hope so. We don't know the points back to crew, but I feel really sorry for Troy Herfoss. We don't want to win it this way. We want to have a fair fight to the end. So bad luck to Troy and his team, but hopefully Wayne can bring it home and Glenn doesn't get too close before the end.
That's great.
Thanks.
That is an excited Craig McMartin, if you're wondering, because he tries to keep everything pretty much in check as the leaders now come up onto Chandler Cooper on board bike number 51. And that is a very good point from Craig about what the point difference is back to crew. I think it may be just enough, but we will check that out as they come round to complete that lap. That's 16 laps down, and we're on the final lap now for Wayne Maxwell. Is he going to take another win in the championship? Can Glenn Allerton mount a last lap assault to try and take the win on board the Maxima BMW? It would be the Maxima BMW's team's first win for so long. I can't even remember when their last win was, and Mad Mike Jones desperately wants to try and take a win for Desmo Sport Ducati before they have to hand over that number 1 plate to, it would appear, their fellow Ducati rider, Wayne Maxwell.
Well, this is for the championship. Wayne Maxwell wins. He will be the champion. And what a way to celebrate in the second race. But as we've seen, anything can happen here on the final lap. Allerton's in the perfect position to have it go. Is he willing to do it? This is the question as they come to the braking area.
Maxwell's late and deep on the brakes. Allerton, there was no way in the world he was going to get close enough to Wayne Maxwell, who comes around the final corner and out onto the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance straight for the last time. He takes the race win. He takes the 2020 My Bike Insurance Australian Motorcycle Championship presented by Motul, and he is one happy chappy for the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech team. There you go. He's extremely excited, Wayne Maxwell. He wouldn't want to do it that way, but that just goes to show you anything can and will happen in motorsport. And he is the 2020 My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike champion presented by Motul.
Yeah, what a ride from Wayne Maxwell. He deserves it. It's been a long time coming, but he now has 2 championships to his name.
Wayne Maxwell takes the win by 0.403 of a second over Glenn Allerton. Mike Jones will jump onto the podium. That's Mike Jones' first podium for this year on board the Desmo Sport Ducati V4R. Crew Halliday takes 4. Brian Starring takes 5th, Aidan Wagner 6th, Josh Waters in 7th, Arthur CC's in 8th, Jed Metcher into the top 10 and got his wish staying close to Arthur CC's, and Lachlan Eppes rounds out the top 10.
What a moment for this man. I mean, he's worked hard. He's had plenty of opportunities to win championships for factory teams in the past.
He just hasn't had the luck. Well, he's down there with Emma. I can't wait to hear from him. Wayne Maxwell with Emma Francesco.
Wayne Maxwell, you are the 2020 champion for the Kawasaki Superbikes. Let's give him a round of applause. Can you give us a sense of what it feels like to be you in this moment right now?
It's hard to really say. I didn't expect it to happen like that. Like Troy and that team is very, very good. But my guys, Adrian, Craig, Greg, Julie, Dale, Barry, Ken, everyone, there's so many people, like when at the end of last year when I asked, put my hand out and said, we need some support, there were so many people that gave me the support that I needed. My family, everyone, it's it's been so close so many times. So it's a bit overwhelming, but yeah, I just can't thank everyone enough. Like people back in Melbourne that couldn't be here. There's Steve Taboo. There's so many people. All my supporters. Steve Murray and Regina Murray. Like there's so many people. But look, it's very very emotional. But I've won before. For these guys, it must be like, we worked pretty hard and nothing. If I wanted something, they did it. Some things were ridiculous requests, but they did it and they remembered and they gave me what I wanted to make me happy, and a happy rider's a fast rider.
And because we've been sitting at home for so long, even wondering if we were going to come back here, do you think that this is even more rewarding than your last Superbike win?
It's so different. I mean, to win the race is always great, and win the championship, there's no better feeling. Troy he's been so good all weekend. He is so good. So I definitely didn't deserve to win that race. It was his race to win, but I'm going to take it. I'm stoked for it. We put ourselves in the position to win the championship, and that's why we've won it.
You are the 2020 champion for the Kawasaki Superbike class. Well done.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
I'm here with Andrew Aldridge, the General Manager of Australian Motorcycle and Marine Finance. And Andrew, let's talk about My Bike first, because we were so rapt to have you come on board as our official partner for 2020. Obviously, a few things have happened. It's been quite a tough year for everyone, but thank you so much for sticking with us. And it's so great to finally be back at a racetrack.
Isn't it? It's been a long 40 weeks since the last time we were down at Phillip Island for the first round of the ASBK, and it's really great to be back here at Wakefield Park for rounds 2 and 3.
Well, obviously, I know that you love your racing, but let's just go back to when you first came on board as a major partner. I mean, what made you want to align with ASBK in the championship?
Racing is a big part of AWMF and My Bike from the point of view that we like to support the industry. ASBK has grown considerably in the last 5 years, and it's just exciting to be part of it. And this year has been pretty good, except for 40 weeks.
So I guess there's a plus and some good news is that motorcycle sales have been up. The industry has been up for 2020. So tell us a bit about MA members' benefits.
Yes, Em, it's been a really good year for motorcycling in general from a sales point of view. So new and used bike sales are up. So it's across the board. And what that's meant is we have done really well in helping people afford their bikes through Australian Motorcycle Marine Finance. And we've also been able to insure their bikes through My Bike Insurance. So whether you've got a Vespa, a Ducati, an R1, a top of the range Kawasaki, a Ninja, whatever the case may be, we can insure the lot. And what we've done is we've partnered with Motorcycling Australia with them through the members benefits package. And if you were to get a quote through My Bike Insurance and get a My Bike policy with us, you get a 15% discount personally, and we'll give 5% to Motorcycling Australia to assist them with development and safety protocols at various events.
And just lastly, I know that, as I mentioned already, you're a big racing fan. You know a lot about the racing. Who is your tip for this weekend? If you had to pick it right now, who is going to win and be crowned on Sunday?
Oh, GM. I'm going to pick 2. Actually, I'm going to pick 3. I'm going to hedge my bets. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go Mike Jones, Crew Halliday and Wayne Maxwell. It'll be blanket finish for the last race.
Well, we like to see that in Superbikes. It's always the way. It's always very close finish. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us this weekend. And we really appreciate your sponsorship and your partnership. There you have it, My Bike Motorcycle Insurance, our proud partner for 2020. We look forward to 2021.
Thanks, Emma. Great news for the championship and great news for all ASBK fans. What's great news also, Steve, is that we're here at Wakefield Park and it's a great circuit to ride.
2.2 kilometres long. Top speed not that great at 240, but I'll tell you what, it feels pretty quick when you're flipping into that turn 2 Motul corner here. You keep the gas on through there, bumpy, use all the track on the way out. Pin down behind the screen and a quick flick through the 3rd gear kink up to the top of the Kawasaki corner. Keep it tight on the inside, out wide, and then back in tight on the exit. Picking the speed up, being careful not to lose the front out of there. It's downhill all the way to the fishhook, they call it. We call it YMI corner. Dive in there. There's a couple of lines. There's tight or wide, but I tell you what, you've got to be careful because there's not many left-handers on this circuit. It's easy to get it all wrong. We've seen that happen already this weekend. Drive up the hill and the most important corner onto the back straight. This is where you get all of the speed, but it's bumpy on the exit of that one, so you need to get it right to dive down into turn 10. Plenty of overtaking opportunities there, especially on the last lap. Get tucked down behind the screen, flat out, up to your 240 kilometres an hour, over the finish line, and perhaps win a race.
So, Steve Martin, you were able to do a couple of hot laps here this weekend. Talk us through Wakefield Park.
I certainly was, and an unbelievable track this is. You dive into the tight turner off the corner, off the end of the straight there, hard on the gas through Motul, changing up through the gearbox. You can just see the different bitumen patches that the guys have to deal with. Bumpy through this one as you go through the AMMF corner. Quick change of direction, run it out wide, then try and tuck into the right at the apex at Kawasaki there, getting smooth on the gas. Down the hill you go. Once again, right on the inside. Quick flip, change of direction. It's really hard on the brakes down here as you go through the gearbox, hard to reach the gears. Because this is one of the few left-handers on the corner, you're going to get so smooth on the gas. Quick, short shit through there. Change a direction again. You don't get much rest on this circuit, but it is bumpy through here. Really bumpy. You've got to try and get on the gas though, because that's where you make up a lot of time. Hard on the brakes again into the final corner. Good overtaking up the inside there. Try and hug it tight if you can, and use all the track on the exit. Try and keep the wheel down if you can. It can claw airwards on a Superbike, and that is a lap of this Wakefield Park circuit.
The field makes their way through the bottom of the circuit there. That was the area where Troy Herfoss's championship aspirations came undone. He will start from pole position. He'll be joined on the front row of the grid by Wayne Maxwell. And the man on form at the moment, 3 podiums so far this weekend, Glenn Allerton.
Crew Halliday, Mike Jones and Brian Starring on row 2. Aidan Wagner, Josh Waters and Arthur Cece's round out row 3.
Row 4 will be made up of Jet Metcher, Lachlan Epps and Glenn Scott, with row 5 being made up of Brendan McIntyre, Luke Johnson in his Superbike debut on board bike number 16, and Giuseppe Scarcella on board the V-twin Panigale.
Nathan Spiteri, Chandler Cooper and Michael Edwards on row 6.
So, ready to go racing, Kawasaki Superbike class, final race of the 2020 My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship. Superbikes it go for the final time in 2020 season, and it was a good start from everyone on the front row of the grid, but Herfoss has blitzed them once again. Down in towards turn 1 for the first time, Maxwell up into second, Jones got a good start as well, and Brian Starring has got another great start, and he's in 5th position, but Herfoss, no surprise to see him lead them towards the top of the hill for the first time.
No problems with getting the Honda off the line. That's 4 out of 4 this weekend that he's led into turn 1, so pretty impressive starting system on that bike.
So as we look at the field come safely through, there's Giuseppe Scarcella and Luke Johnson making their way through the top of the circuit. Maxwell very deep on the brakes down into one of Troy Herfoss's favourite corners down there. Steve, as they make their way through the Pirelli corner this weekend, has been, well, catching a few people out, especially today with the wind gust blowing the riders a fraction wide. Looked like a pretty good start for Glenn Scott as well. He's ahead of Aidan Wagner and up there Arthur Cece's as well. So he's moved forward a fair few positions off the grid on board bike number 68, the second of the BC Performance Kawasaki ZX10 RRs.
Yeah, doing a good job there, isn't he? Good to see. But back out front, it is now Wayne Maxwell who's made the pass. I didn't think he was going to send it. I knew he'd fully send it.
So Maxwell leads up the AMMF hill for the second time. Herfoss back into second place. Allerton still holding down third, a position he's been very familiar with this weekend. He's been on the podium in the all 3 races so far in the Maxima BMW's best weekend in most recent memory. I cannot remember the last weekend that they've had such a successful weekend.
No, it's absolutely true. It's been a really good weekend. You can just see Glenn Allerton there's back end just moving around, trying to extract as much grip as he can.
Herfoss out of the seat on the way out of that corner. We just mentioned it. It caught a few people out. It nearly caught out Troy Herfoss. It's his home territory here at Wakefield Park. Wow, what a fantastic sound that is. V4s, inline 4s, the V-twin of Giuseppe Scarcella in there, so many different sounds, and that new Honda sounds absolutely sensational, although Troy Herfoss and the team are complaining that it's not loud enough. They want it to be a little bit louder.
Well, yeah, it's certainly fast enough. Big lucky save for Troy Herfoss. Just perhaps not getting enough warmth. We'll have another look at that. Got on the gas here. You can just see moving sideways. Hit one of the bumps just wrong, but didn't even back off. What a brilliant ride. Look at the gap that these two have pulled out already. Mike Jones has made his move too. Mike Jones has moved up in the third.
Yep, good move there from Mike Jones. But I think this is probably a fair testament of the weekend so far, isn't it? You've got Jones, Allerton, Starring, and Crew Halliday all very closely matched in lap times. But there's just two guys that have just got that couple of tenths of a second over the rest of the field, and they are 1-2 in this race. It is the 2020 champion, Wayne Maxwell, and the man that is now trying to secure the runner-up position in the championship, Troy Herfoss. He came into this race 10 points behind Crew Halliday in the battle for second place in the championship. If he can't win it, he wants to finish in second.
Starring's having a good run. He just passed Crew Halliday a moment ago, moved up into just behind Glenn Allerton there in 5th position. But I'll tell you what, he is starting to look threatening to these guys. Perhaps not to the two guys out front, but I'm sure we heard it. He wants to finish on a high, and I'm sure that a podium here would be really good for him and the team. That hasn't been a happy hunting ground for them in the past.
No, well, Kelvin Riley said it's their best weekend here in memory. So Brian Starring putting on a great performance here. He's trying to go up the inside of Glenn Allerton, not quite close enough to get up the inside of the Maxima BMW. We know that Glenn Allerton's one of the latest breakers in the business, so it would have been a big move from Brian if he was going to go up the inside. 4 laps down of the journey, fastest lap of the race, Wayne Maxwell, a 57.433. That is not too far off the lap record set yesterday by Glenn Allerton of a 57.389. Considering the blustery conditions, Steve, how hard are they pushing? Is that 100% or is that 105 or 110%?
That's like over the limit. That is... Maxwell is just leaving nothing now. He's giving it everything he's got. He wants to prove. We heard Troy Herfoss say earlier today, I think it was, well, the championship doesn't matter. I just want to prove that I'm the best Superbike racer out there. And that's what this race is about. It's not who's the champion, it's about who's the best Superbike racer.
And I think we can safely say that this weekend, these two have been the best Superbike racers. Herfoss comes up the inside. You knew he was going to have a go there in his final corner. He's done it many times this weekend. He's done it many times over the last couple of years as well. And Maxwell knows that Herfoss is back and it's going to be a two-man war. And as you said, these two are just going to now try and do fastest lap after fastest lap to prove who is better.
Yeah, it's... Herfoss there, look at him, he's just starting to slide the back of that Michelin slick. Here we go, he's got a good drive out of that corner there, late on the brakes, up the inside, the bike is on the absolute limit of adhesion, manages to tip it in and make the corner, leaving Maxwell nowhere to go. Maxwell gets on the gas, has the better line, runs a little bit wide on the exit, and Herfoss is back in front.
Here goes Starring up the inside of Glenn Allerton. He had a dress rehearsal 1 lap ago, and he's finally been able to get it done as well. Crew Halliday now trying to find his way past the 3-time Superbike champion Glenn Allerton on board that Maxima BMW.
Either way, Maxima BMW had a brilliant weekend this weekend, but look at these guys now. It is back in front, Wayne Maxwell. Can he hold it? No, Herfoss is through.
So 57.887 for Herfoss on the last lap, 57.870 on the last lap. Wayne Maxwell was actually a fraction faster than what Troy Herfoss was. That's why he's been able to claw his way back up onto the Penrite Honda now. The brand new Penrite Honda CBR 1000 RR.
Around the outside. Can't do that, Wayne. Oh my, this is getting serious. Who will be the best Superbike racer?
I think all you need to do is have a look at the attitude of the riders, have a look at the attitude of the bikes to get an idea of how hard these guys are pushing. They're essentially 7/10 of a second faster than anyone else on track at the moment. They are riding these bikes to the absolute limit. It's the Penrite Honda versus the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech, Ducati Panigale, Wayne Maxwell and Troy Herfoss. We've seen it hundreds of times before, Steve Martin, and it never gets any less entertaining. That's Chandler Cooper. Unfortunately, his weekend has finished early.
Yeah, let's hope that bike's far enough off the track that it doesn't cause a yellow flag. The the swing arm on this bike is 50 millimetres longer than the old bike. So that's a whopping amount.
Well, it's got all the things that Troy Herfoss was needing in the old bike. A little bit more power, a little bit more handling, a little bit more stability, a little bit more electronics. And he's using all of them to his advantage at the moment to hold off a rampaging Wayne Maxwell, who, if you're just tuning in, has wrapped up the 2020 My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship in the first race of the day, when a mechanical gremlin crept into the Penrite Honda, and unfortunately Troy Herfoss was unable to finish. Maxwell secured the championship, and that is what allowed now these two to just go head-to-head in full send mode for the title of Best Superbike Racer in Australia in the last race of the season. Time to go down and check up with Emma, who's with probably now a very worried Craig McMartin.
Phil was just saying you're a little bit worried because you know Wayne's going to go all the way to the end, isn't he? But I just wanted to congratulate yourself and the team as well on the win.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, we're really proud of the team. Good team effort. Can't do it with Adrian and all the guys. And Wayne's done such a good job. And to be a privateer team, we're really proud of ourselves. So the pressure's off a little bit with Wayne. He's a little bit more racy in this race. So we'll see how it ends up.
Did he say that's it? I'm putting it all on line. I'm going for the win.
He didn't say. But I could tell he wants another win fair and square. So we'll see. You know, he's pushing so far, but we'll see how we go.
Thanks, Craig. Congrats.
Ta.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Great to hear from Craig McMartin there, and yeah, congratulations to the team. We said it before, but that is a private team with no factory assistance, and they've done a great job to put the package that they have together. Here comes Wayne Maxwell. Is he going to go down the inside? No, Herfoss just saw him coming, let the brakes off, ran in through that kink so much faster, and just to make sure that Wayne Maxwell didn't get up the inside. He's run a fraction wide, and Maxwell has now zipped up the inside and takes up the running as they come up towards Dunlop Corner. The Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech Panigale is back in front.
Yeah, these guys are running 0.6 of a second a lap quicker than the rest of the field, which is an awful lot around this small circuit. 2.2 kilometres, 0.6 is a lot, and you can see the gap that they've opened out. They are in a class of their own this weekend, that's for sure. They've got a lot to prove, and boy, I mean, both of them are just riding unbelievably.
Well, remember it was this circuit a couple of years ago where they almost came to blows in Parc Fermé after an issue in qualifying that one of them wasn't particularly happy about. And I remember Mark Herfoss was Troy's dad saying, they're like brothers, they'll be having a beer later on. And that's exactly what happened at the end of the weekend. They were having a beer and laughing about it. They've been rivals for so long. They know each other so well. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're so comfortable to push each other, well, probably over the limit of what most other people could push each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Have to agree with you there. I mean, here's the next big battle in the group for the last spot on the podium. Mike Jones still holding down that position, but I'll tell you what, Brian Starring sitting right there at the moment. He hasn't had a podium this weekend, has he? I'm sure he wants one. It's been a while since Starring's had a podium, I think. Did he get one at Phillip Island at the start of the year? He may have done.
Not at the start of this year. No, it was the year before that Brian Starring had regular podiums and race wins. But have a look at those championship points. If Crew Halliday can get a little bit further forward, he will make Troy Herfoss's job of trying to take second place in the championship just that little bit harder. And Brian Starring only needs a few more points to put himself up into contention for third place in the Kawasaki Superbike Championship as well.
Well, there's 5 points between those two. So if Troy Herfoss wins, he will get second in the championship if Crew stayed where he is.
Yes, because it would be judged then on a countback of race wins.
Exactly.
And Troy Herfoss, you can tell, is going to give it everything he can to try and take the win and take those extra 5 championship points.
He's probably not thinking about the 5 points or second in the championship at the moment. He's thinking about
proving he's the best superbike racer in Australia.
You've got it.
Here they come down towards the bottom of the... Oh, that's one of his favourite overtaking manoeuvres. How close was he to the back of the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech machine? It is a K-Tech suspension battle out front. Both of these riders using that product, and at the moment they seem to have the wood over everybody else. Well, they have done all weekend, Steve.
Here goes Herfoss.
Up the inside, Herfoss pushing the front end to its absolute limits of adhesion. Maxwell cuts back onto the inside. We've got Inline 4 versus V4. We've got Pirelli versus Michelin. We've got... both of them now 2-time Australian Superbike champions.
Yeah, unbelievable. Herfoss is just so good through that kink in the back straight, through Pirelli corner. He really gets good drive out of there. He still has to brake pretty hard to outbrake Wayne Maxwell, but it is a constant opportunity for him, which is really important if it comes down to the last lap. He can be assured that now he's in front, he's going to really put the hammer down.
And I think what we can safely say is that next year we may find more runners on Michelins, because Michelin have really proved this year what a great product that they have with the efforts of Troy Herfoss and the Penrite Honda team. And you can see how hard Herfoss is prepared to push that bike with the way he's starting to get the back end, stepping out and muscling the bike, manhandling it around. We're coming around to complete 14 laps of this 18-lap journey. Great to see our full 18 laps being able to be ridden by the guys. We had to cut the race a fraction short this morning to make sure we could fit the afternoon program in. And it is still Mike Jones that is trying to hold off Crew Halliday.
Yeah, but
Starring is up into third place.
Yes.
He would love a podium to finish off the year.
I would have loved to have seen that overtaking manoeuvre, because Starring's gotten through, which has let Allerton go through too. Mike Jones has dropped back now into 5th position.
So it is Honda, Ducati, Kawasaki, BMW at the front of this race. Great to see 4 different manufacturers at the front, and all battling very hard. Throw in Yamaha in there as well, and that's why we love the Australian Superbike Championship. We've also got the tyre battle, because we've got Michelin, Pirelli and Dunlop now all in the top 3.
Absolutely. It's the way you want it, isn't it? Just all mixed up and all fun. You don't want the same person to win every time, do you?
Plenty of variety, and that's what we love. As Brian Starring desperately now trying to hold off Glenn Allerton. Could you get any more crossed up into that final corner there for Brian Starring? He's done it plenty of times so far this weekend as well. He's put it all on the line in that corner. And sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't.
So it looks like the only guy that can go with Starring is Allerton. Allerton has found a second wind by the look of it to me.
Glenn Allerton has to use the hard tyre because the soft ones don't work on that BMW, the Maxima BMW. So he said at the end of the race, he is going to be in better place than anybody else because his tyre will be just coming into its own. He's done more than race distance on the rear tyres over the weekend. We're now coming into Glenn Allerton land because you know, we're getting down to the last couple of laps of this race, and that hard tyre could be really coming into its own. And as we see, Troy Herfoss and Wayne Maxwell continue this two-man war as Giuseppe Scarcella does a great job to stay out of the way, and now he'll have the best seat in the house for the ultimate showdown.
Yeah, absolutely. With a couple of laps to go after this one, it is Troy Herfoss who leads, but just by a fairly slim margin at the moment.
57.971 for Herfoss on that last lap of 58.116. As you mentioned, they are still circulating, Steve, about 0.6 of a second faster than anyone else out on track. They have a 8.4 second lead over the rest of the field as they complete the 16th lap with 2 more laps to go. Look at the front end of Starring's machine pattering over the bumps there. He is pushing that bike past its limits. Crew Halliday has got ahead of Mike Jones as well, and they are now level on points, Troy Herfoss and Crew Halliday in the championship in the battle for second place.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that points stands up, if that was set before Crew Halliday went past Mike Jones or not. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's very, very close at the moment.
So we're coming round to get the last lap board now. It is the 18th lap of this the final race of the 2020 My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship season. Well, towards the top of the hill, it is still Herfoss, and I think Maxwell has got a lot of work to do if he's going to take this race off Troy Herfoss, because he's dropped back a bike length or 2 on the last lap, though. Wayne Maxwell was a couple of hundredths of a second faster than Troy Herfoss.
Yeah.
But track position at the moment indicates that Herfoss has put it all on the line. Maxwell had it all on the line there as well. The Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech machine was crossed up as he came down the hill, and I think that may have given Herfoss just the edge he needs to make sure that he can take the victory in this final race.
Yeah, to me it looks like Herfoss has got it. Maxwell's given it absolutely everything, but Herfoss now has put the hammer down as he goes into the final corner, and he's got this under control if he doesn't make a mistake.
So Herfoss round the final corner, he makes his charge for the line. He will take the win in the final race of the season. He says he's number 1. Wayne Maxwell comes across the line to take the second position, and Brian Starring should very well be on the podium for the first time in 2020 as he takes the BC Performance Kawasaki to 3rd place in the final race of the year and secures a very strong result for the team at a track that has previously been their bogey track. Here's a good battle there between Nathan Spiteri and also Arthur Cece's as well on board their Suzukis as Wayne Maxwell and Troy Herfoss have a bit of a chat, and I think they're organising what time the barbecue will start tonight. Herfoss takes the win from Maxwell. Bright starring in third, as we mentioned. Allerton, Halliday, Jones, Wagner, Josh Waters, Arthur Cece's and Glenn Scott round out the top 10. Can't wait for confirmation, though, Steve, of the final championship positions, because it's going to be extremely close, and I think Crew Halliday may have just done enough at the back end of that race to make sure that he takes second place over a very, very dominant Troy Herfoss here this weekend.
Troy Herfoss, we were just saying the celebration's still at yours tonight, and it's kind of like an end of an era because you're moving out of Goulburn, the local point, no more.
Yeah, going to hand it over to Tommy, two-time Supersport champion. Yeah. So, no, I'll have a party tonight, as always, and huge congratulations to Wayne. As I said on the grid, people forget about the previous rounds, but he dominated round one, and he done a really good job this weekend as well. And so congratulations to his whole team. But man, am I happy to be so lucky to be on the bike and the package I've got, the tyres, and I'm just so excited for the future. Feel really good on the bike.
Thanks, Troy, and well done on getting that win. If anyone can bounce back, it's you, and it's been so much fun watching you and watching everyone battle it out this weekend and this year.
Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed it. I pulled out a few tricks and done my best, and you know, I had some stuff saved for the last race today, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Honda, Michelin, K-Tech, Alpine Star, all our partners. We've got so many great partners, and I couldn't possibly remember them all, but I'm looking forward to the future with them, and we're going to be really competitive next year.
See you then.
Thank you.
All right, well, there you have it, boys. The final race for the year for the Kawasaki Superbikes. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Emma. Time to look now at the final championship points. And I think we can safely say that Wayne Maxwell is the champion. Steve, wrap that up with one race to go. Troy Herfoss missed out at the smallest possible margin in getting second place in the championship. Down to Emma now to wrap up what has been a sensational 2020 season for the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship.
Well, it was great to see Wayne Maxwell become the champion for the second time. Congratulations to all of our champions. Thank you so much, Steve. I've had an absolute ball. Thank you to all of our team, to our crew, to you at home, our sponsors, the teams of riders, everyone up and down pit lane, everyone that makes this possible. It's been an absolute ball. Thank you very much to everyone at home for watching our coverage. For all the updates in the meantime, though, head to asbk.com.au. I'm Emma Francesco. Look forward to seeing you in 2021. Bye for now.